Okay, hey guys. I've noticed that a lot of you guys are wanting to do black background portraits on your phone. So, I have, excuse me, I do these portraits for a living, so I decided, and I use Photoshop on the computer and then use Lightroom, which Photoshop does have a phone app, but it is not the same. But Lightroom's app for the phone is pretty much the same. So I went in the Play Store and I found this app here above my camera icon called Color, and it's PixArt Color. So technically, I found out that it's probably the one that works the best, and to achieve what most of us are trying to achieve. Black backgrounds are essentially just coloring the image. So here's the original image that we're going to be working with. I took this picture last week. This is my friend Michaela, and this is Ollie, her horse. So if you're wanting to learn to take these pictures and edit them, it's best to take them in a barn aisle or an indoor arena. But if you're just wanting to do this for fun, it's perfectly fine, and this app will be just as good. And remember that higher the quality of the photo, the better it turns out. So that is what the original photo looks like. And I went ahead and brought it over to the app and kind of did some already to sort of kind of speed up the process. So you see that he's standing there and there's some background, and essentially what this is just a big old coloring book. So down here you have your brush size, your brush opacity, which you want to make sure your opacity is all the way up to 100. And depending on what area of the horse you are working on is what size you want your brush to be. Doubtful that I'll ever need to be 500. And you can click that and make that go away. Now I've learned with this app you have to use 2 fingers to zoom in and move it. If you use 1 finger, it's just going to draw a line across the picture. So I'm going to drop that down here. You're essentially just coloring or tracing, outlining, whatever you want to say, the horse. So you want to follow his natural curves and movements on his body. So here, and I'm not going to pay a whole lot of attention to the bottom of his leg because I'm going to kind of black that out. So at this particular picture, I don't care what the bottom of his leg looks like. So use 2 fingers to drag up. Okay, so we're going to come over here to his ears, which is going to be really hard because I have really fat fingers. But as you'll see here, he's kind of got this in this area. He's kind of got this mohawk thing going on. I'm actually going to get rid of that to a degree. So I'm going to just keep on coloring, get over to his ears. You want to make sure everything is as smooth and natural looking as possible so it doesn't look like you literally just drew across it with a crayon. And I'm going to drop the brush size down, and you'll notice that I got a few pixels now that I've gotten kind of close, and that will happen. And I didn't like that, so I'm going to smooth that back out. But I'm tracing over his ears, and you want to make sure that if you got a horse that in the picture, like you can see his ears, like you can tell that it's 2 prominent ears and they're not, he's not looking on at you. You want to make sure that you get that definition in his ear so that you can see it's 2 ears and not just one big ear. And that's about as good as I'm going to get on his ear with my chubby fat fingers. So we're going to move on down towards his forelock. And it's completely fine to take certain things out of the pictures. Like if I've got a really, really fat horse, it's just like really super, super fat, then I'm going to probably get rid of part of their belly unless the owner tells me not to. So now we're getting towards his face, which you want to kind of you want that forelock to kind of flow into that face like it does naturally when he's standing there, in the pasture or in your stall. So I'm kind of just, oops, that was not good. I'm just kind of going to go ahead and just kind of get that part out of the way right there. So I'm just following the curve of his face. And I'm actually using my finger. I have a Galaxy S6. But my mother and a friend of mine have Galaxy Notes, and they come with their own stylus, which sometimes works better because you can kind of get into the creases and folds. But I'm going to back it out a little bit so you can kind of see how far we've got so far. These are time consuming, but lots and lots and lots of fun when you can figure them out and get them to where you're pretty happy with them. And I can do these pretty quickly now on my computer. This is the first time that I've ever even, and I'm gonna have to get rid of his whiskers because I'm just not on the right program to save them. But I'm pretty quick at this on my computer. I can do it, I don't know, depending on the image, and if I have to remove reins or lead rope or a person or something, it may take me a little longer, but usually I can get them done in 20 minutes or so. And that's with everything. See, bump that up a little bit. So we're gonna come in here and follow the curve of his chin. I'm gonna bump that down a little bit. I think this thing is weight sensitive, so I think if you bear down, you get more marker or pen or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty positive it's weight sensitive. But you're just gonna color in here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you at least want to make sure that there is as best as a distinction between the jaw as possible. You don't want it to look like he got stung by a bee. But now we're going to work back on another one of his legs. Again, and again, if you use two fingers, you can zoom in and turn the picture and such. Excuse me, I just burped. That was rude. But following the natural curve of his body and his limbs is the best way to get natural, the most natural look you can get. There you go. I'll spit it out in a second. A lot of people think this is us sticking the horse on a physical background with a backdrop when we do these, and they're not. The horse is just standing bare in the aisle of the barn or arena, and I cannot get that right. Ha! Finally. But they're not. They're standing pretty and perfect in the aisleway of the barn. I actually had a shoot in a town back in August, and the lady was like, I don't know where we're going to hang the backdrop, and I was very confused on what she meant. And I was like, oh, nope, there's not a backdrop. It's just all done in post-production. Again, I'm not going to pay too much attention to the bottom of his hooves and stuff like that because I'm just gonna fade that out as well best I can on this app. But this is the best app that I've found for my phone or for a phone that does what essentially is done on a computer. A computer is absolutely the best way to go. But I understand that some of us and can't afford Photoshop, don't want to take the time to learn it because it can be quite a bitch to learn. And just don't do this as a profession, so don't see a really a justifiable reason to purchase a subscription, because now it's subscription based to Photoshop. So I completely understand. It took me a long time before I finally bit the bullet and bought Photoshop. I had it, but I had an earlier version, and it really just was not doing what I needed it to do. So I finally bit the bullet one day and bought it. Best thing I ever did. But again, some of us can't afford it. Some of us don't want to learn to work it. So this is the best way to do it. And I apologize for me just rambling, because I don't want to have just silence in this video. I guess I should have turned some music on or something, but I just figured this was going to go a lot quicker than what it is. But nevertheless, I'm almost done. I'm not entirely sure how to export these photos either, so hopefully what I just did would not be completely lost, because that would suck. But as you can kind of see, he's a bay, and he kind of, I had the white balance and stuff off when I took the picture, so the ground is kind of yellow, even though if you were staring at it in person, it would be more brown. So you're kind of getting these yellow areas here, like on his tail and stuff from the light, the shadow, because everything you take a picture of cast a light and cast a shadow. And that's what I'm getting on him. Again, just sort of kind of gonna do that. So let's tackle the last portion here, and that is in between the legs. So I'm going to go up in his chest, and again, I'm following his chest. So, ooh, that was terrible. So I'm going to go up in the bend of his chest. Sometimes you just have to get really close and just fight through the pixelation. And I can't change the thickness, and if you can, I figured it out, on this app just yet. So normally I wouldn't have the opacity of the brush quite as, not the opacity, but the thickness of the brush up as high, or hardness, depending on how you want to say it. But up in his chest, in this area here, that area, I didn't really get the definition that I wanted to out of his chest. But again, it's not about being perfect it's just about getting it. And I absolutely urge anyone and everyone that wants to learn this, because it's actually quite fun. And you get into, like, well, I do, I can't speak for everyone, but I get in a daze, and I kind of just roll. And I mean, I'll have 20 of these things done in an hour and a half. And when I first started doing this, I mean, it would take me hours just to do a half, like one, the left side of the horse. And now I'm just like, bing, 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 done. But I've been doing this since, let's see, it's 2017, so I don't know, since 2010, maybe? So 7 years? Is that right? Is that 7 years? I can't do math, guys, so don't judge. I failed math in high school. So I'm almost done. I'll go up here. And he's kind of fuzzy up here because it's kind of attempting to be winter in Georgia. So they don't really know what they want to do as far as their coats go. So I'm just going to take that fuzz away, make sure that fuzz doesn't even exist. I don't tend to get rid of their chestnuts. Well, I may have to in here, but like when I'm on the computer, I don't get rid of their chestnuts because I don't know, I kind of like them. They're weird little horse toes, I guess. I don't know. So I leave them if they're visible. Just a personal preference. If an owner asks me to get rid of it, I will. Or a client, because I do sometimes do these edits for clients. But that's just my personal preference. Okay, so closing in on the last part of his legs. Again, I'm just sort of kind of quickly do that because I'm just going to edit that out or fade it as best as possible. So I think what I can do, and that's kind of pointy, with this app, is I actually think, okay, so that's what it looks like now, and we'll get rid of all that extra room at the top. But I'm going to bring my brush size up, and I'm going to, oh gosh, stop. Pull from probably up here and pull down like that, kind of like that. But obviously with black. So I'll pull and just kind of go that way. And I know it looks funny because it kind of looks like he's going uphill. But I'm going to make it a little bigger and turn the opacity down. So I get this kind of, maybe turn it up a little bit. So I get this kind of where it kind of fades. And I'm only going to do that on the bottom. I'm not going to do that anywhere else. I'm not, because I don't like it. I don't care. If you like it, do it. I just don't. So that's it. So that's that image. And that's the original. And this is actually straight from my camera. My camera connects to my phone. So that's the original. Now I'm going to screenshot this just in case I have problems exporting it. But let's export and see what happens. So we're going to export, and I'm going to export to gallery. It's probably going to watermark it. I don't know. So let's go to gallery. There shouldn't be anything in here no one can see. And we'll go there. Oh, that's screenshots. Let's find where it went. I have a lot of stuff, guys. Did it go there? I have no idea where it went. We're learning together. Did you guys see where that thing went? Because I don't. Okay, well, we'll just use the screenshot since it's right there. So I'm going to, I'm headed, sorry. I'm going to crop it. No. There's not like a whole lot going on up there. Save. Okay. So once I've done that, I'll go back and I'll find it in the photo editor. And then I'm going to take it over to, when I'm on my phone, I'll take it over to whatever, app or whatever. So I'm going to take it over to Instasize, because Instasize has, I'm going to get rid of the border, but Instasize has some pretty cool filters. If you're just on the go, you get this and this and these. But that one actually looks pretty nice. So that's probably the one I'm going to go with. That's Lincoln. That looks as close as it's going to get to if I would have done it on the computer. And normally if I would have done it on the computer, I would have got rid of those green hues there in between his leg near his tail. Because that looks kind of grody. But that's just me. I think I'm actually going to go with this with this Market one. Let me, Lincoln. Yeah, we're gonna go with that one. So I'll hit that. And so I'm gonna bring up add. Go to gallery. And exit it out. And there it is. It's done. It's drawn around. I mean, it's super, super simple. I hate that his ear wasn't perked up, but he's a baby, so not things are very exciting to him. And sometimes I'll actually take it over to Instagram, make it big, to kind of play with a few things. Like if I want to play with the brightness on it, or the contrast, which I wouldn't suggest the contrast. But I really like structure. I really like it, not this particular image, but I really like it to be there to be definition in the image. And I may turn highlights up or I may turn them down. I thought there was like a vibrance, but I don't think there is. I might turn the saturation up a little bit or down, or however it wants to go. And sometimes I'll add this blue filter and drop it kind of almost all the way down, because less is more, and it kind of takes away from the harshness of some of the shadows and the some of the highlights. That is basically what I would do for editing on your phone. That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, as you see. So there's our finished product. And well, I thought I had the other one, but there's our finished product. There's your original. There's your finished, and Instagram. So I hope this helped anyone. Sorry for the super ghetto way of doing it, and the super long rambling of nothingness. But this is the app. As you see, I failed a couple of times drawing, but this is the app. You just open it up, and it's maybe still in my thing. I googled PixArt, and it's the PixArt Color Paint on the Google Play. I'm assuming App Store has it, but that's on Google Play. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope it was helpful. And again, sorry for the rambling, and if I can help you guys with anything else, let me know. Thanks, guys.